Hi friends, it's Kate. I'm just popping on here quickly to give you a heads up that today's practice is a little bit noisy. It is a recording of a practice that I taught at Bay Area Yoga Center in Green Bay, which is a phenomenal yoga center. It's where I did both my 200 and 300 hour training so that I am a 500 RYT. And we are in Ashtanga studio, so we're doing the Ashtanga sequence today, which is in honor of Father's Day. So it is inspired by the sage Patanjali, and the sequence itself was built by a man named Patabi Joyce, and it is from which all modern day yoga springs. So it is kind of the essential sequence. So it's a wonderful tribute to our patriarchs, but I wanted to let you know it's going to be kind of noisy. They had some street sweepers going through, but it does end with a really nice quiet shavasana. And just so you also know, the shavasana does not have a close, so you are welcome to remain on your mat as long as you need to and slowly make your way out whenever you are ready. So as always, thank you very much for practicing with me, and I hope to see you in person sometime soon. Enjoy! So we'll get started with seated or reclining meditation. Whatever works best for you is fine. Take a couple breaths, getting settled. Finding a position that's comfortable for you, that's not distracting, where your body can relax, the shoulders can drop away from the ears. You can feel your weight dropping down into the earth underneath you. With not a lot of effort. See if you can find some more relaxation between and above the eyebrows, releasing your jaw and your tongue, the front of the throat. While you probably can't hear it today, we'll tune into the sensation of our breath as it rolls in through the nostrils and down into the lungs. And then as it rolls back up and out. Maybe bringing your attention to your low ribs and notice as they float up and open. And then relax back down into place. Checking in with the shoulders one more time, making sure they haven't crept up on you. Seeing if you can soften even just a little bit more. back up to seated. And we'll bring our hands to heart center and begin class with a single Om. So big breath all the way in. I might be getting the sprinkle on, but hopefully we're not going to get rained on. It's not supposed to rain, right?
Doesn't matter.
Later? Okay. If it's just a little sprinkle, it doesn't bother me. I practice outside when it rains all the time. It's just when it's a downpour that I'm like... It happened to me the other day. It wasn't supposed to rain at all. It was like I had 30 minutes to get on my mat and film something. And 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of class, it just like downpoured. Damn it!
So you let that throw you off?
Well, I dragged all my shit inside.
So you threw it all off instead of just going...
It was cold, though.
Could you just said, I'll just let my mat get washed? No?
Yeah. So I dragged it all inside, waited for it to pass, and then dragged it all back out. And finished it up. Yep. So I was like, I'll just do it again later. And then I was like, it's only 5 minutes. I have to get it done.
Just kidding.
But yeah. It's wet over here. Okay. So we'll start out with A series. So big toes touching, heels slightly apart if that's comfortable for you. If you want more horizontal space in between your feet, that is fine too. So if hip width is better for you. So find something that works. We're going to find lots of space between the toes. Notice where your feet are in contact with the floor. And since we are on an uneven surface, with a little bit of tilt, you might notice you have a little bit of weight in one foot more than you do the other. Bend the knees, allow your pelvis to find neutral, roll the shoulders back and down, and pick up the head, but tuck the chin ever so slightly. Here we'll take a big inhale, bring the hands to heart center. Exhale, release the arms. Inhale, we come up overhead. And then exhale, we come all the way down into our own lap. Bend the knees deeply, allow your chest to come down onto your thighs. And from here, we'll inhale, bring the hands either to the shins, the hips, out to the side, or somewhere else. And then exhale, hands come down, step back, and move through your vinyasa. So it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be traditional vinyasa or some other variation. Traditional is hands over, your shoulders over wrists. Exhaling down for chaturanga. Inhaling up for upward facing dog. And then exhaling back. Downward facing dog. Big breath all the way in. Big breath all the way out. And at the bottom of the exhale, stepping the feet up in between the hands. Inhale, half lifting. Exhale, forward folding, bending the knees, allowing your chest to come down. Finding some softness in your pose this morning. And then from here, bend the knees, inhale, come all the way up, hands above the heart, and then exhale. All right, big inhale here, exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up, exhale, hands come down. Inhale, half lift, long spine, long back of the neck. Exhale, hands come down, step back, move through your vinyasa. So your vinyasa can also look like just dropping the knees and moving through these poses. And instead of coming for upward facing dog, you can do cobra. Really nice back strengthener. Then transition back to downward facing dog. We all meet in downward facing dog. Big inhale. Big exhale. Bottom of the exhale. We step up in between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold, tuck the chin. And then bend the knees, inhale, come all the way up. Hands above the heart. And exhale, All right, one more of those. Big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, arms come up. Low ribs in. Exhale, we come all the way down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down. Step back. Move through your vinyasa. Final option for vinyasa is to skip it completely or cut down to hands and knees and do some cat extended cat spinal flexion and extension. So you can mix and match all these vinyasas through practice today. If something works better for you at a different point in time, choose that variation. It's your practice, not mine. Take one more big inhale here. At the bottom of the exhale, step up in between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then from here, bend the knees, inhale, come all the way up. Hands above the heart. And exhale. Semi-sweep. I was like, that was the street sweeper. I think they're leaving.
Funniest. Karen was given a class, in class.
Yeah.
Settle in at the old place. Settle in, concentrate on a noise outside.
That's what her cue was.
Within 2 seconds, a siren went off.
My favorite is always when we're really in the groove and then that poor man would come and talk to his parents through the window over here.
Yeah.
And I'd always just be like, he can just do it, I don't care. And then everybody, like some people would be really bothered by it. And I'm just like, let him live his life. It's fine.
Life goes on
Right.
around your mobile.
He needs to talk to his parent. Leave him alone. So, from here we're going to transition to B series. So big inhale here. Then exhale. Our fingertips are going to come down to the mat. We're going to drop the tailbone, pick up the pubic bone, feel the low belly start to hollow out. And then from here, press the hands together and lift just the chest. So the legs stay where they are. Then exhale, come up over the top and into your forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back, and move through your vinyasa. Take your time. There's no rush, so move with your own breath. We'll all meet up at the end. Alright, so from our downward facing dog, we're going to turn our left leg out. Our right foot is going to come up behind the right hand. Right knee comes forward as we lift. Hips should be parallel to the short edge of the mat. If they're not, back foot comes forward and to the outside a little bit. So then from here, press the hands together. Inhale, lift up for warrior one. Feel a big stretch through the abdominal wall down through the hip flexor. Exhale, hands come down, step back, and move through your vinyasa. Making sure that you're keeping your gaze low. We don't have any wandering, hungry eyes today. Now from here, right leg turns out, left foot comes up behind the left hand. Left knee comes forward, but left hip reaches back so that our hips are parallel to the short edge of the mat here. And then we'll press the hands together and lift up for warrior one on the other side. Low ribs coming in, dropping down. And then we'll exhale, come all the way down, step back, move through your vinyasa. If you're in upward facing dog, make sure there's buoyancy in your elbows. They're not locked. Big inhale through your downward facing dog. Big exhale. The bottom of the exhale, we're going to step back up in between the hands. Inhale, half lift.
Exhale, forward fold, tuck to chin. And then don't forget, bend the knees, drop the hips. Inhale, pick up the heart for Utkatasana or fierce. And then exhale, all right, one down. Big inhale here. Exhale, hands come down. Drop the hips. Inhale, lift your heart. Utkatasana or fierce. Exhale, come up and over. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back, move through your vinyasa. Taking your time. From our downward facing dog, this time right toes turn out first, left foot comes up behind the left hand. And we'll inhale up for warrior one. Press the hands together. Lift up through the heart. Feel the low ribs coming in. Whole sole of the foot for both feet is down on your mat. And then exhale, hands come down, step back, move through your vinyasa. And we'll do the other side, so this time, left toes turn out, right foot comes forward. I think, or just do the other leg. Whichever one's the other leg.
Are we on the third time, or did we switch it up?
This is the second time, I think. Do it again.
This is why I don't teach.
I think we're only on second. So we'll press the hands together, lift them up, and you really want to
Change
feel
the order,
outside
that's
edges.
I mean, what are those?
What's that?
Left, right, then right, left, right.
I always try to screw them up. I switch them. We all have our patterns, so I switch them. So I bet that's what it is. We're feeling the outside edge of the elbows coming in together. If you really want to, you can even press the pinkies together and lift them up to get that strong internal rotation sensation. Supination is what this is.
This is another good one.
And then we'll exhale, bring the hands down, step back, and move through vinyasa.
Skinner man. Skinner man. Skinner
Now from the bottom of our exhale, we're going to step up. In between the hands, inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold, soft. And then from here, bend the knees deeply, drop the hips. Inhale, lift the heart for Utkatasana or fierce. And then exhale, Samasthiti. All right, one more of those, big inhale. Exhale, bring the fingertips down, lift your heart, Utkatasana or fierce, feel the hips dropping down towards the floor, and then exhale, come up and over, forward fold, inhale, half lift, exhale, hands down, step back, move through vinyasa, take your time. Then from here, left toes turn out, right foot comes forward behind the right hand. Inhale, coming up, warrior one. Soften your eyes, soften your jawline. And then exhale, come all the way down. Step back. Move through your vinyasa. bottom of your exhale in downward facing dog. We're turning out the right toes. This time left foot comes up behind the left hand. And we'll inhale, come up. Warrior one. Low ribs coming in. Easy face, easy posture. And then exhale, come all the way down. Step back. Move through your vinyasa. At the bottom of the exhale, step up in between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold, tuck the chin. Then from here, bend the knees deeply. Feel your low belly coming in towards your spine. Lift up through the heart, Utkatasana or fierce. And then exhale, Samasthiti. Get out of here. I know, right? I don't know. So we're going to take the feet about hip width apart, and we're going to come into Padangusthasana or hand to foot pose. So we're going to start out with the hands on the hips. Inhale, lift up through the chest. Exhale, bend the knees deeply. Come all the way down into your own lap, just like we've been doing. Then we're going to release the hands, and you can choose to use Yogi Big Toe Hold if you'd like. So first two fingers wrap around the bottom of each big toe, thumbnail to toenail. Then we'll inhale, lengthen through the arms and the legs and the spine. So everything's nice and long, finding a stretch. And then we'll bend the knees again, allow your chest to come down and feel your elbows reaching out to the side, tuck your chin. So as you look behind you through your legs, you should still be able to see your elbows in your peripheral vision. You can see your elbows, and you should feel engagement across the front line, the pectoral muscles here, which is what the Ashtanga Primary Series is all about. It's about front line, not back line. So if you have your elbows behind you, you'll start, and you can play with that a little bit. You can feel engagement across your back. We want to keep it in front of the line of the body. One more big breath here. And then inhale, lengthen through all the limbs one more time. And then you can choose to keep your hold here or progress it. So the option for progression is to take the hands, turn them palm face up, and slide them underneath the soles of your feet so that your toes come up to the crease of your wrist. And then again, we'll inhale, lengthen through the legs, arms, and spine as much as you can. And then we'll bend the knees, allow the chest to come down, and same thing, elbows reach out to the side. Big, big inhale, big exhale. Feel the stretch across the upper back and the engagement across the front of your chest. Bless you. And then from here, one more time, inhale, lengthen all your limbs, lengthen your spine. And then we'll release the hands out from underneath the feet. Bend the knees deeply, bring the hands to the hips, and then inhale, come all the way up in one smooth motion. All right. So, next up is triangle. So you can hop your feet together if you'd like. And then in Ashtanga, we turn and pivot. But if you want to step forward and back, that's fine too. So, we take the right foot, step it back, and pivot. If you want to do traditional Ashtanga. If you want to keep facing me, you're not going to offend me. Just pick one leg to start, and then we'll do the other one. So, we have heel to heel alignment here. Lots of space in between the toes. Some people like to have even more horizontal space in between the feet. So there's more space with the toes coming further away from each other, but we don't want to close it anymore. then we're going to start crossing our femurs. So, from here,
You're doing great.
just yelling. So from here, we're going to bring our hands to our hips and pretend like we're a little teapot, short and stout. So we're going to imagine somebody's giving us a poke in the front hip, and the whole torso, one solid piece, starts to tilt. And then, when you can't get your hips to move any further, and be respectful of that boundary, then you're going to release the front hand down, maybe coming to the inside of the upper thigh, maybe down to the calf, or maybe it just hangs loosely down towards the floor. And we're going to rotate the shoulders open, but hold the low ribs in at the same time. And if it's not too heavy, then lift the top hand up. Oh my God. A big, big inhales and exhales. All the strength you have in your body, inhale, lift up the torso, pivot the feet or step up and step back with the other side. We're going to do it over the opposite foot. So again, heel to heel alignment if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, step the feet out so you have more space. It gives you a little bit more stability too. So, is there more than one? I can't decide if there's more than one.
There's
Okay.
two of them.
Okay. I just always
And the
think
guy
one.
with the little handling board.
It's just not meant to be quiet today. It's just men folk being men folk. All right. So we've got heel to heel alignment here again. Hands to hips. We're gonna pretend like we're a little teapot. Hips are roughly square, not all the way to the long edge of the mat. Okay. So we're not trying to square them to the front. We're really keeping them sideways. So from here, front hip reaches back to the back of the mat. You can bend and straighten the front knee if you need to. I like to have a little bit of juice in that joint, so we're just not locking it. And then wherever your boundary is, stay there. Release the front hand down to either the inside of the thigh, inside of the calf, or just hanging down towards the ground. We're going to rotate the shoulders open, feel the low ribs coming in. Inhale, lift the top hand. Not too heavy. If it makes you drop your torso, leave the top hand down. It's just like the cherry on top. More big inhale and exhale here. And then we'll inhale and come up. We'll step up to the front of our mat, grab a block, step back. So this time we're going to come into extended side angle. And we're going to bring the block outside edge of our front foot, whatever foot that happens to be. And we're going to have roughly the same setup as our triangle pose. You may find that you have more space once we bend the front knee, so you may have to scoop your feet out a little bit. So now, instead of tilting the hips, we're keeping them steady, like we were going to sit down on a chair right underneath us. So all that you do is move laterally in space, and do not tilt. Okay? So from here, we're going to bend the front knee, and I want you to feel as your hips move forwards, but the back hip is still dropping down towards the floor, so there's no tilt happening here. As much as possible, our hips are remaining upright. You want to feel your front knee reaching to the side, almost behind you, So we're turning out through the front joint. So your knee's tracking right over your toes. You should maybe even be able to see your big toe on the inside edge of your knee. So then from here we'll inhale, open the arms, finding ourselves in warrior 2. And then from here, front hand is going to come down. So either our elbow is going to come onto our knee, or our hand is going to come onto our block, one way or another, and we're going to find extension. So now, back hand is going to reach towards the top of the mat, and then we're going to rotate the shoulders open just like we had them in triangle. And feel the low ribs coming in. And as you look down past your underarm, you might even be able to look down towards your foot on the mat. And notice that you have a nice long line from pinky to heel. Beautiful.
Take your foot right here.
Push you. Ankle foot.
There we go. Oh. Oh, you know you're my favorite, right?
Is everybody else afraid to do it?
Everyone just doesn't do it. Right.
Alright, then we'll inhale, grab your block, lift yourself up with all the might you have in your torso. We'll rotate or step up and step back.
Last week she was Amy by
Amy?
type. Just gonna dabble in it.
Gotta do it like you mean it.
Climb up on me, lady.
She just doesn't get how muscle bound you
I
are.
got a safe word for that reason.
It's good to have safe words. It's good to know your boundaries and inform other people of them.
Corduroy.
Yes. So, heel to heel alignment again. And again, we're not tilting the hips. So already get them set up. So you might already, I can feel that I've already got a tilt happening. So I got to drop my back hip straight down. And then you're going to glide forward through space as the front knee bends. Woo! And you might find one hip is more tight than the other. In particular, I have a side that's just crazy tight these days. Crazy, crazy tight. So, respect your boundaries. Just go until you find a stretch. You want to find an equal amount of stretch on each side. So your pose from side to side does not have to look the same, but it should feel the same in terms of the amount of effort and ease that you're experiencing. So maybe you stay up and out of the pose a little bit, depending on what you're feeling. So we'll inhale, open the arms, shoulders parallel to the long edge of the mat. Gaze is soft. And then from here, front hand is going to come down. So either the elbow comes onto the knee, or maybe even the hand comes down onto the block. And we'll inhale, reach the top hand towards the top of the mat, and then rotate the chest open to the side, and notice where you feel the stretch. Is it the same as your last side? Is it different? Big inhales and exhales. I mean, I'd like a high five. Please recognize it. One more big inhale and exhale here. Towards the base on this side. And if you're facing the top of the mat, you're just going to reach with your top hand, come down and step back and move through vinyasa. Somehow get there. How are you doing?
Trying to be like stealth.
Okay, so from our downward facing dog, just for kicks, we're going to do a rotated pose, which I know not a lot of people teach all the time. So, coming into Pavrita Parsva Konasana, which is rotated angle pose. So we're gonna bring our right foot forward behind the right hand, and we're gonna space it out. So our toes behind us. If you remember the old studio, this is the pose we used to do when we would back up to the base.
Oh, okay. So a block would be nice. Maybe. If it'll grab.
I don't know. Oh, behind you? Yeah, if you want to. So you can use a prop behind you like Les has got with it underneath your heel, if that helps you keep your alignment. So what we're trying to do is the back toes are actually going to rotate out just a little bit. So the heel is not going to come all the way down onto your mat. It's going to stay up. But we're finding a little bit of rotation there. And the hips are coming straight down. So this is kind of like a shortened warrior one pose, right? With the toes up and off, or the heel up and off the mat. So we're going to come deeply into our pose. Lots of pressure through the back toes. We're going to inhale, lift up through our left hand if the right one is in front, so opposite hand, and then we're going to feel the elbow come down onto the opposite knee if you can get it there. So if this is really super tricky and you feel like you're going to die, you can drop your knee behind you down onto your mat, so you're in a low lunge instead of a high lunge, okay? So if you can get your elbow down, then from here you can stack the hands and find some rotation. If that's impossible, just bring, I know with the tilt of the earth underneath you, if that's impossible, you can also bring a hand down onto a block here and then work with the rotation this way so you have a little bit more stability.
Oh, I'm gonna feel that Tuesday.
I know. And then you can bring both hands down, step back, and we'll do the other side. This time, left foot comes up behind the left hand, so you have lots of horizontal space in between the feet. And heel is up on the back foot. Woo. And we're feeling a little bit of pressure. So we're really driving the heel back and behind us. So kind of like, a high lunge pose, a high crescent lunge, with a little bit of rotation here. So it's kind of like right in between a warrior one and that high crescent lunge. So now, coming deeply into our low lunge, feeling our front knee coming directly over our toes. We're going to inhale, reach up with the opposite arm, and then bring it down and across. And like I said, if that is a big compromise for you, it's going to make you feel like really unstable. You can bring a block down to the inside edge of the front foot and use that for your stability. But even as the elbow comes down onto the knee, we're pressing the knee in the front out to the side. So we're feeling external rotation between both sides. So rotating away from you. And finding length in the spine. And then when you're ready, we'll release down. You can come to downward facing dog if you want to clear that out. But then we're going to shift here to wide-legged forward fold. Okay. This is what I want to do. Yeah, we'll do one of these. Okay. So outside edges of the feet are roughly parallel. Okay. And we're going to bring the hands to the hips and inhale, lift up through the chest, and then exhale, bend the knees deeply and bring your chest down towards the floor. Now, if you have blocks that you want to use to catch your hands and support the weight of your torso, you are absolutely free to do that. But we're going to bring the hands down onto the floor underneath the chest, bend the knees, lift the heart. So we're in like a leapfrog. Just getting a little bit more stretch through the ankle, through the hips. And then leaving the legs where they are, we're going to walk the hands back behind us and then work towards straightening the legs. Tuck the chin, which can sometimes be a little dizzying, so take your time with it. Take a couple breaths here. If you have both of your hands down, we're feeling the elbows coming towards each other. here, we'll walk the hands out from underneath us so they're back underneath the chest. Bending elbows, bring the hands to the hips, and then inhale, come all the way up. And we'll do one more. So this time we're going to bring the hands behind us, interlace the fingers. Inhale, lift through the chest. Exhale, bend the knees deeply, come down into our forward fold. And now with the hands on the back of the pelvis, we're going to bend our elbows and allow our elbows to float away and towards the floor behind us. What I want to stress, keeping your elbows bent is very important because we're shortening the lever that we're using to drive force into our rotator cuff. So the shorter the lever, the more gentle our stretch is going to be. Especially with Ashtanga, all we do is stress our rotator cuff, so we want to be careful with it. Then from here, we'll bring our hands back to the back of the pelvis, bend the knees, inhale, come all the way up in one motion. Get our head rush, let it pass. I'm going to skip that. Okay. Does anybody feel like they really want to do one-legged balance pose?
I've never wanted to do that, so please don't ever.
I don't really want to do it, so we're going to skip it. It's getting hot. So we'll bring the hands to heart center, take a big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up above the heart. Exhale, we come all the way down. Inhale, we'll half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back, and move through vinyasa. Taking your time. And then from our downward facing dog, we're going to come all the way down and onto our butts. It's starting to get kind of hot. I'm getting hot, so I want to keep our heat down. So, humid. No, it wasn't humid at all where I live, and usually it's horrible. Oh. You gotta practice outside when it's nice and cool.
Yeah, it was just, it was weird that it was like rainy, and then nice, and it was sunny, and it was warm.
It was just awful. It was overall awful. Alright, so we're gonna do Paschimottanasana, or our seated forward fold. So we wanna sit up nice and tall. So the key to this pose is sitting up. So sometimes some of us have a tendency to round through the low spine because it's uncomfortable to have our hamstrings stretched this much and this close to our face. So we want to sit up nice and tall. Feel the outside edges of our toes coming towards us. If you need to put a little lift underneath your hips, do that. And then we'll inhale, lift up through the heart, lift up through the arms. And then exhale, come forwards into our forward fold. Ooh. So, be careful. Notice where you're feeling the stretch. If you get a little bit of a twinge, come back from it. So we've been doing a lot of work with our hamstrings so far today. So just be mindful, either they're warmed up and they're feeling really good, or you might be crossing into an overstretched kind of territory. So take your time. Notice where you're feeling these sensations, and notice the push and pull of being able to come a little bit further, needing to back away, being respectful of these changes that are happening. And notice that the longer we spend in the pose, most likely your sensations are changing from moment to moment. And from here, we'll inhale and come up, reach up with both of our arms. And then we're gonna come into reverse tabletop or reverse plank. So reverse tabletop is kind of like when you did a crab walk when you were a kid. So you have bent knees, soles of the feet are down on the mat. Hands are behind you, but fingers are pointing down to your toes. So you're finding rotation here. And then we'll lift up through the hips, right? If you would like to do that, that is the first option. If you would like to progress the pose to something a little bit more challenging, hands are behind us. They're about, I like to put mine, my fingertips are like, I don't know, 8 to 12 inches behind my hips. Then from here, we bend the elbows behind us, feel them coming closer to each other. We slide as we're finding engagement and starting to bear weight into our hands, and then we lift up through the hips. One long plank. So if that's not for you, feet down. Either way, we want to do a little bit of it so that we can find a stretch through the biceps. Head can come back, but just relax the back part of our shoulders. Exhale, come down. Come into one more soft forward fold. And then we'll wind up our feet underneath us and step them back for vinyasa if you have it in you. Right back down onto our butts. Come into Janu Sirsasana, which is head to knee pose, and we'll do traditional Janu Sirsasana today. So I like to extend my left leg first, fold my right foot into the inside edge of the left thigh, and now if this knee floats, might need a prop underneath it to make it feel comfortable. And same thing here. Again, if it's uncomfortable for you to sit with your leg out in front of you, you might have to sit up on something. So props galore here. So we'll inhale, reach up with our arms. Exhale, come forwards. How you doing?
Trying to find a
Comfortable spot. Do you need you want my blanket?
way over there, don't worry about it.
You sure?
Sort of doing an outdoor practice thing and an indoor, just like out here I'm more relaxed.
Like willy-nilly.
In there.
So we're feeling our opposite shoulder coming towards the top plane of our foot here. So there's almost a little bit of spinal rotation happening here. So you might feel a big stretch, like for me, this right side of my body is super tight. I feel all of this pose in my back. Here. I don't feel any of it in my hamstring. On the opposite side, I feel all of it in my hamstring and none of it in my back. So you might feel a combination. You might feel all of it at once or none of it. You might feel it someplace completely different. One more big inhale and exhale here. Then we'll inhale, come up. We'll switch sides. So sole of the left foot is coming into the inside edge of the right leg. Right leg is extended directly out from the hip joint, so it's not off to the side. It's right in front. We're feeling the outside edge of our foot coming back towards us, so we're not finding this lopsided external rotation. We want to find almost internal rotation here. And we'll inhale, lift up with both arms, and then exhale, come forwards into our forward fold. Your other hip is way tighter, huh?
This knee is more worse.
Or worse. Yeah, but the other hip joint is super tight.
Right. You want balance or something?
It is. That's how my body's built. So like my massage therapist will go through like my soft tissue and he's like, you're tight on this side but loose on this side, and then you're tight on this side and loose on this side, and tight on this side and loose on this side.
So your therapist is a mime?
Huh? No, a mime. No, he is not a mime. Although I wouldn't be surprised if he quit and ran away and became a mime someday. He's just that kind of guy. French.
I taught all the Spanish-speaking people at work how to speak French.
Oh my god.
That's fun. So every response is ha ha ha.
I had a French kid that came and he did an internship with me when I was with my last job. And we just like made so much fun of him. And he made so much fun of us back, so it was great. Because he had a big attitude. He's like, you stupid Americans. And I'm just like, I know, but you're also French, so we get to make fun of you back.
First thing you do to a French person is punch them.
He did say
Right
ooh la
in the
la
jaw.
to me once.
That's just
He like got surprised and he was like, ooh la la. And I was like, you don't actually say that. And he was like, yeah, what's the deal? And I was like, you say that?
what did he say?
Ooh la la. Because he got surprised. Like something surprised him and he was like, ooh la la. Like it's just like something you're like, oh. I know, it made me laugh really hard when he did it. Alright, so let's see. We're supposed to do another vinyasa. We're just going to throw this in here. So we're going to come into Baddha Konasana, so bound angle pose. Feet together, knees dropping apart. Sit up nice and tall. For some of us, sitting up nice and tall is going to be more than enough. If you want a little bit more sensation, you can lean in. I always like to advise leaning in with a straight back because it puts all of the stretch down and into your hips. Taking some deep breaths all the way in and all the way out the best you can. Inhale and come up. And you know, just for kicks, we're going to draw the knees in together. We're going to do a balance pose. So we're going to draw the knees in together. We're going to hold on to our big toes with the Yogi Big Toe hold. See if you can balance on your hips, kind of like we do for boat pose. So you can choose to do boat pose if you want to do that instead. That's an option. The other option would be holding onto the toes and maybe seeing if you can balance with extended legs. So we're lifting up the chest and sitting up as tall as we can. Woo! Trying not to fall over, which I might do, and then slam my heels on the concrete, which would not be fun for me. Oh my god. Alright, then we'll release. Draw the knees in and give it a squeeze. And then we'll do vinyasa. And then we'll come all the way down. And we'll start working through our finishing sequence. So, start out with bridge. 2 ways to do bridge these days. So one is to hinge at the shoulders, essentially, lifting the whole back up in one piece, and then letting it come all the way down, right? So this builds strength when you do this. If you lift one vertebra at a time and roll up, that's going to build flexibility through the spine. So you can decide which one you want to work with. Strength is what I've been working with lately because I've been having a lot of low back pain. So if you have low back pain, I advise working with the strength variation because it will build up your low lumbar spine. Most people who have back pain have it because their backs are overstretched if it's soft tissue. So you can work dynamically, inhaling up and exhaling down, or you can work statically, which is you inhale up and stay there for several breaths. Draw the knees in and get them to squeeze. Release any tension that you might have gathered. And then from here we'll roll up if you'd like. You can come into another vinyasa. And then we'll come into some variation of shoulder stand if you would like to do that. Or plow, halasana, if you want to do that. It's a little bit softer but has more compression. So you can do regular shoulder stand if you would like. You can also do Viparita Karani, which is taking a block and putting it underneath your hips. Starting out in basically a supported bridge. Load up. If you want to do traditional shoulder stand, you can do that. I always advise putting a couple props underneath you though, because it can cause a lot of compression through the front of the throat. So it's all about knowing how these poses affect your body. So for me, I carry a lot of tension in the front of my neck. And shoulder stand, the full expression of the pose isn't necessarily beneficial to me at this point in my life because it creates more tension in the front of my neck with the compression. So for me, a softer variation like Viparita Karani is safer and it's healthier for my body. But your body is different from mine, so it's all about listening to it, picking and choosing which kinds of poses work for you. Couple more breaths here. like, you can come into a soft plow position with the feet behind the head, toes reaching down towards the floor behind you, or slowly bring your feet down onto your mat, lift up your block, and same thing, you can draw the knees into the chest if you need to before we move through another vinyasa. Don't jinx it. We might have a nice shavasana. We're going to have the longest shavasana known to mankind today, too. Yeah. So it'll be nice if you could just like sit and be quiet.
Well, the question is, did you try to block out that noise?
No, I just let it happen.
It didn't work.
Well, no, I mean, I work in, that's about how loud it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All day?
It's just
That would
all
make me
day.
crazy.
So you have to just sort of let that happen and then concentrate on what's
That
What's
would
important.
be really hard for me.
All right, so we're going to come into Matsyasana, or fish pose.
Oh.
So you can use a block, you can use a rolled up blanket, whatever is most comfortable for you. So a more aggressive version is taking a block long-wise, leaning it up against your spine. And so then as you relax back over it, the back of your head touches the back of the block. And then you can take another block and put it underneath your head if your head floats and does not come in contact with the floor. Softer variation would be to take the block and drop it down to the low height instead of the medium. You can also take it horizontally, or my personal favorite, because I carry tons of tension in my front line and my neck, like I mentioned, is rolling up a blanket and putting that horizontally underneath the top of my chest. So it's coming out underneath my arms. If you'd like, you can choose to put energy through the legs. If you're doing that, we're feeling our heels reaching down towards the bottom of the mat. And then hands have lots of different options for us. So they can be at our side, palm face up, or more traditional, which is palm face down with our thumbs tucked into our gluteal fold. Just the space where the upper thigh and the buttock meet on the back of your leg. Big breaths, feeling the collarbones spreading and your shoulders dropping down towards the earth underneath you. Feeling your tongue pulling away from the roof of your mouth. You might even feel this stretch in the bottom of your jaw into the soft tissue of your mouth. This is one of those poses where I encourage you to stay in it as long as you need. If you'd like to, you can come up and out of it. Next up would be a variation on headstand. If you want to come up and out of the pose, we can come into a soft forward fold, just as
a counter pose, so we're not necessarily trying to get anywhere. Just allowing our back to come back to neutral. Working through vinyasa if you'd like. Moving into some variation of a headstand. Now with the concrete, it always makes me a little nervous to encourage people to do a formal headstand if you're not super solid in it. But dolphin is a really nice variation, which is kind of like a pose in between headstand and downward facing dog. So I really enjoy it. It's part of my personal practice. Gives me lots of stretch through the upper arms and through the shoulders. It allows you to practice loading weight into your shoulder joints without a whole lot of risk. Because all the blood rushes to your head, you might notice that your sense of hearing becomes either more intense or less intense. Everybody's body is a little different. So maybe tune into that sense while you're in your pose. When you're ready, you can relax down into child's pose. After you're done, you feel like you've put enough effort into the pose. There's no rush. Like I said, we have plenty of time. So take your time. And then we can move through another vinyasa, and then we'll come into finishing breaths. So for finishing breaths, traditionally they're done in Padmasana or lotus pose. I don't teach that because I don't think it's a necessarily healthy pose for the vast majority of us. But you can sit crisscross applesauce, kind of tuck your legs underneath you and start closing up the joints, which will be enough. And then take a block and put it in front of you. If you're not confident, you can reach the floor. So we'll bring the arms behind us, hold on to the elbows. In the traditional pose, you're in Padmasana, so your feet are sitting on the tops of your hip flexors here, and you're able to grab your big toes. So we're trying to reach the arms behind us enough so we can close off of our joints there, and then work towards bringing the head down, either onto our block or onto the floor. And I'd say take 10 to 15 breaths here. Nice and slow. So we're taking our energy and folding it in and down. And then whenever you feel ready, we can come into Shavasana. Now remember, there are lots of options for Shavasana. So you can choose to do traditional, arms and legs extended, palms face up. If you want to bring your energy, palms can face down, but you can also take blocks, put them behind the knees. You can put the soles of the feet on the floor and drop your knees in towards each other. You can choose another pose entirely, like coming back to a supported bridge or a supported fish, or something else that I didn't mention but you know you really like. coming into our final resting pose, and we're letting go of our practice. So letting go of any thoughts you had about your body or the poses as you worked through them today. Letting go of thoughts about the environment that we had for our practice today. It's over. We're now here, present. We have a different set of sounds than when we began practice. So I would invite you again to tune into your breath, noticing not necessarily how it sounds today, but how it feels with the inhale expanding the rib cage and the exhale allowing it to relax and retract back. You may notice variations in the length or the tone of your breath. If thoughts wander in, just let them wander back out. Staying here on your mat with your body, with your breath.